Howdy doody, everybody. I didn't. For those of you that don't know, I'm like a monkey juggling knives, man. Back behind the scenes, I played the intro for us a couple of times, so Tattoo and I've already heard it. Everybody else that's here, hopefully you got that 10-second intro and it let you know your computer or your phone or something went off with the ringy-dingy notification bell, let you know show's starting, or however you consume this DFS Army MLB Live Lock Show. We appreciate you tuning in, being here day in and day out. Our usual suspects are already in the comment room, which is pretty cool. Hopefully, we'll get a few more. I see Tattoo suiting up. He's a little confused. You got baseball down low and you got hockey up high.
If I'm 100% honest, I'm a little rattled because I can't find my Connor McDavid jersey.
I thought you were going to say 100% honest. You weren't even wearing shorts, but whatever.
Okay, I am wearing shorts.
As I say, don't prove it to us. It's all right.
But then I say, all right, well, this is a baseball show, so I better at least represent that.
Better than I'm doing. I just have a hat on and T-shirt and whatever. I came in out of the rain. We're getting storms again today, so if we suddenly go dark, I had technical difficulties. I don't think it's going to happen. Most of the stuff's past us. Flying squirrels.
To ask where Dixon was. I was like, "Where's Dixon?"
Right. Well, he's right there. He's going to tell everybody to like. He's going to tell everybody to like here in a bit. Where are the flying squirrels from? Tell everybody.
They are from Richmond, Virginia, representing the San Francisco Giants. So,
right.
I'm not a Giants fan, but you meet so many players. I had season tickets forever, so you meet so many players because I sat on the front row dugout, and they come by and talk to you because it's AA. So you meet a lot of guys that the Brandon Crawfords of the world that make something of themselves.
That's pretty cool. It's actually, and you probably end up with a lot of autograph swag.
You don't
really
know how
push the issue.
Autograph crap I have.
Right. Of people that didn't make it.
Yeah.
Right. But, Joe Smith. Who's that? I don't know. Nobody knows.
I know the basketball player Joe Smith from Maryland.
Yeah, well, see, now that's in that Richmond, Virginia area, so we're on the right side of the country. San Francisco, for a Richmond AA affiliate, San Francisco's on the wrong side of the country because that's a long bus ride for a call-up.
Yeah, I don't think they're on the taxi squad.
Right, that's insane. Edward's pointing out minor league baseball is fun. I'll tell you what, if you've ever been to a game, it is fun. I've been to, and this goes back to the hockey, when I was taking pictures for my dad's newspaper back in the 90s, we got sent down to Tulsa to do the Tulsa Drillers. They were a CHL team, not affiliated with anybody, and we got right down on the glass. We got to poke our little cameras right through the little holes in the glass, and, man, we had an awesome time taking pictures of that game. And even at what it would equate to probably is AA for hockey, man, they were fast. And, man, just like any Canadian, they were pissed. And they did nothing but fight each other. And I was just like, this is a dude he's a cement truck driver, and he's punching the shit out of some carpenter because they are on the same job site, and one likes the Oilers and the other likes the Panthers. And so they're taking it out on the ice tonight in their AA game. I mean, that's the type of shit that happens there. It was awesome.
And what I love about like baseball, it's so like family and friendly. Like you go and you're just like talking to all these people you never met before. I don't know. It just feels so homey.
That's
like
a really good point.
It's hard to have a conversation. It's so loud.
Yeah. Baseball, you got downtime, but any sport in general, which is why we're here. Obviously, any sport in general is where we generally take the politics, put them aside, because we're all rooting for the same team at the same game, usually, unless you're the visiting squad, and we don't give a crap. Who voted for what or what somebody's whatever is, just as long as our team wins and comes through the bottom of the ninth inning. So that's where we all kind of unite and become just freaking friends again, which is what we enjoy. And that's what I like about DFS Army is inside the Discord, we're all just friends. We don't do a lot of political discussion. We don't do any of that crap. In fact, we actually boot people for it because it's bullshit. Which should encourage you to run into dfsarmy.com, use that coupon code MLB Live. And I swear to you, every time we can find a way, I will find a different way to segue that coupon code in there.
I mean, politics just it should be like the tiniest part of your life.
I actually would, unless you're running for office, I would agree
Unless
with
you're
you.
running, then you're just a crook. So.
Let's dive in. Let's do the rundown today. I'm not going to run down it all by myself today. I'm going to just throw it to you. Let's look at the weather report here real quick, and let's point some stuff out to everybody. I've got a couple of tools that I'm going to show. I don't see much in terms of, well, there's some delay chances right there. Delay in 50-50 in Tampa. That's, again, we saw yesterday, arms were in question. Bats were really not. Today's probably no different. It's Florida. It's summertime. Thunderstorm. This just they might as well just leave that right there. 20% PPD, 50% in-game delay risk for the rest of the damn season, because that's Florida.
Yeah.
St. Louis is concerning because I'm looking out my window right now, and if I could show you, it is raining, and it's raining rather hard. They've got a very, very slow-moving line of thunderstorms. If that game has not been pulled yet, I will not be surprised if it does get pulled. But until it does, I would just exercise extreme caution about rostering anybody from it. That's just my fancy weatherman take for the day. It doesn't look like there's much to deal with up in Chicago. Chicago White Sox, 15% in-game delay. I ignore that. That's nothing to me. And that about covers it. Anything else that you want to add?
No, it just looks because I liked Noah Cameron tonight. And now, no way I'm going to take that chance. But honestly, I'm probably not playing tonight. So.
Really? Oh, well, you're going to be watching the hockey.
Yeah, it'll probably be the same thing at 6:55. I'll be like, shit, I got to make a lineup. And there we go.
And that's why I like the members. Thank you for correcting that. I just looked at that, and I'm, like I said, I've been driving around all day taking kids to and from work, so haven't been able to follow any of the Twitter updates. St. Louis PPD. So that 75% is now 100%. Okay, so here's the tip of the day. Everybody lean in, grab pen and paper. Here's the tip of the day. Do not roster anybody from that game.
Nobody?
That's your lock of the day.
How about Witt one-off?
No, I don't think. Well, unless you like zeros. If you like golf, go for it. Low scores win. But in terms of baseball, not a good thing. What I do want to do is I want to open up a tool that we have not shown before, and that is the MLB chalkboard. This bad boy is showing ownerships across FanDuel, DraftKings, whichever tab down here in the lower left-hand side you want to click, and it goes position by position. So if I blow it up, I'll show you the pictures right there. Chris Sale, 45%, and then a big drop-off down to, Sawyer and Nick Pivetta and Clark Schmidt, whatever, down into the 20s and the teens. So Chris Sale, like you said in pregame, uber chalk. Which of those second pitchers do you like? Because, again, if you're playing cash games, you're locking in Chris Sale and you're going with it. If you're playing tournaments, you probably want to use Chris Sale, but you certainly don't have to in your single entries. You can fade him in one of the three lineups or whatever. What are you doing in a situation like that for your 3-max type contests?
If I did 3-max, I'd play Chris Sale in one of them.
Okay.
I don't trust Arizona is good. They've been struggling win-loss wise, but they put up runs, and they're playing in Atlanta and they can hit home runs there. So Sale just scares me, but he has gotten, turned it around after a slow start. But I would probably just play the ownership game and hope Arizona hammers them.
I'm going to pause 1 second. Harlock, elaborate. You say it's raining right now in Atlanta, and Atlanta's become risky. What do you know? And please share it with others. Go ahead and type that thing in there while we keep talking about the ownership and stuff, because, again, I'm going to reiterate to however many people are watching right now, this is y'all's show too, and I want you guys to feel free to make any comment that you can that is helpful, that is controversial, that will inspire Tattoo to flip out. and whatever else. Okay, so Joey Tornado posted that. That's cool that it became a risk.
Okay, I was getting ready to go check Joey.
Yeah, and that's all good because I didn't know maybe Harlock was on top of it before Joey, because Joey updates in the morning and again in the afternoon, sort of, sometimes quickly, sometimes not by the time we go on air. So my point is, you guys feel free to throw any of that information out there. And if I throw out a take or a Tattoo throws out a take and you think we're just full of it, let us know. Because what I want is, you're saying, Tattoo, that you would do 1 out of the 3 in 3 max with Chris Sale. I want to know what the commenters think. I want to know what those of you guys watching would do. How many would you put in a 3 max? Would you go 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3, 0 out of 3? Those of you guys that are listening, you guys should be hopefully building a lot of smaller field, single entry, 3 max type tournaments. Let me know what you guys are doing as well. Sorry, Tattoo, didn't mean to sidetrack us for too long.
No, you're good. I would say I'd probably, in that 3 max, I'd pay up the $200 and lock in Nick Pivetta at a third of the ownership in San Francisco.
Does and this is for the commenters too, does Chris Sale with that weather report,
that changes everything too? So.
How much? I mean, are you down to 0 out of 3? Or would you still keep him in 1?
I'd keep him in 1 until closer to lock, and then see where I'm at. See where my risk tolerance level is at 703.
Checking by the minute, checking the heartbeat. I might just be hockey nerves, but Carnage report has not been discussed yet, but it will be. Showing chalkboard now, and the beauty of the chalkboard. What else? Let's wrap up pitching here. What else do you like in there? Do you have any strong leans one way or the other? Because the way I do things is very, very basic. I don't like Boz. I'll show why if we get to the Carnage report. Schmidt, not so much. I might just take Sale.
I don't mind Harrison.
Okay.
Just San Francisco is not a great hitter's ballpark. San Diego's been hitting wise, and then that Sawyer Gibson Long. If I can pick on the White Sox for 6,000, and I listed Cade Pavich, but I'm not super confident. So.
This is not a pretty pitching slate.
No, it is not.
Even with the weather erases a couple of guys. Pavetta's the strongest. K-score wise, though, a couple of guys without much of a sample size, and Zebby Matthews and Cade Pavich are the ones that are pulling. That's obviously a little bit risky. I'm looking at other guys that are up there in Carnage, meaning they should be all right, which is, Noah Cameron's lost due to weather. Miles Michaelis lost due to weather, but I wouldn't be using Miles Michaelis, even with a good Carnage score, because no K upside. His K score is 360. I look for 500 and above. His K score is 360. That's just contact pitching. It's trash for DFS purposes. I don't know. This is going to be – I like to take I like to look for break points. If it were me and the weather was not a concern in Atlanta, I would personally put Sale in a ton, and then I would go down with the next 3 or 4 guys down to about the 12% mark. I'd probably use these 5 guys, and I'd just call it. I don't want to use Boz, though, and I would look down at the Carnage report, which I might as well just go ahead and show it now. And I'm looking in this number here, and then I'm matching it up with K-score. I'm looking at the Carnage column. Blues and greens are good. Yellows and reds are bad. And I'm coming over here with K-score and VK score. I'm looking for blues. And so would I have some Zebby Matthews or some Cade Pavich? Maybe. I wouldn't be excited about it. But Pivetta and Sale would definitely be. And on FanDuel, I might just pick one and just run him in them all. It's just weird. This is not – but it's pretty ugly, Oh, well. It is what it is. But going back to the chalkboard here really quick for you guys, chalkboard is an all-inclusive tool. I come down here to catcher, and I can look at there. Ryan Jeffers is a chalk. Everybody else under 10%, well under 10%. I can build cash game lineups right off this sheet. If I go locking them into lineups, I can look at the Jeffers and be like, okay, if I have to play a catcher like on DraftKings, he's my guy. The rest of the guys are all suspect. Now, if you see one you really love the matchup, great, but just understand you're probably going against the ownership at that point. First base, look at this, nobody.
I used to
Nobody's
build
chalk.
like NFL cash lineups strictly off the chalkboard.
Absolutely. And this is how you do it. You just take those top owned guys. See, first base is wide open. So I'm not coming off of ownership in Ryan Jeffers at catcher to a lower owned guy when I'm going to be lower owned regardless at first base. I'm just going to pick my favorite guy here at first base. There already is going to be enough differentiation in a cash game. Not that we're looking for low ownership or anything, but when we're forced to take it, understand that you took it and that's going to make or break your night most likely. Then second base, again, crapshoot. It's fine. I'd stay up here towards the top 2 or 3 guys. Maybe a cheap India one-off if St. Louis and KC wasn't rained out, at 3,100 because their ownership's all about the same. I might take salary saving and move on.
Yeah, second base is not a spot I really want to spend up usually.
So I would probably be
like Marte or somebody.
Right. I'd probably be opting there. Third base, Royce Lewis is probably who I would take in a cash game. Boom. Because, again, the discrepancy between the top and the second place guy is just too big. I mean, if you wanted to do Max, why would I pay up for Max Muncy when in a cash game, Royce Lewis is twice the ownership for half the price? Well, a third of the price.
Yeah, I consider that Addison Barger has been on fire.
And that's a pivot. And in a cash game, I tend not to do pivots. I tend to eat it.
Yeah.
In a tournament, it makes all the sense in the world.
But if I took that cash lineup and moved it to like a little single entry, that might be
absolutely
a little pivot I'd make.
Absolutely. I look at shortstop here, and these guys, all these top 4 or maybe 5. God, maybe even Lindor. Lindor's so expensive.
Oh, I know he's so expensive, but Lindor's the first place I'm going.
They're all in play in terms of ownership. The reason Lindor's not higher is because of his salary. Better than Mookie Betts at this point. Bobby Witt, I guess, but again, Casey and the weather. Correa. If you're looking for the salary savings, it's Correa or maybe Brooks Lee.
Or Willie Castro.
It's hard not to be on Lindor. And then here's where you're always going to find it. Cash game, tournaments, otherwise. You're usually going to find your value in the outfield. So there's so many positions to choose from. But again, I'm looking for the break points. I need 3. And I see 4 over 10%, and I see 3 down in the 8s and a high 7 in Acuna. And you can't argue Acuna other than the salary. And all of them are expensive. So Nemo probably is going to be a little bit higher owned at 3,700 because people are going to be fighting for salary. And if you're looking down, Max Kepler, at 4%, it's your next 3K guy, Conforto, who nobody really wants.
I like Tyrone Taylor too.
I was going to say probably take a Tyrone Taylor over a Conforto at 2,800. But this ownership isn't going to help you in a cash game. I like to use ownership in cash games because it provides a little bit of insulation against a little bit of defense, if you will. I can hide within the herd, and wherever the herd goes, I go. And you already saw 2 or 3 spots, second base, a little maybe outfield, first base. These are places where you're going to be forced to be different. So you can just eat the chalk everywhere else, have the night everybody else is having, and kind of turn it into, a 2-player versus 2-player competition with the rest of the field. And all you got to do is get over half of them. You pick first base and second base better than anybody else tonight, and then chalk up the rest. You've probably got yourself a pretty damn good lineup. That's how I would do it. Yeah, like you said, pivots, GPPs, totally different. Take what you want. Look at the chalk and avoid most of those guys and start going another direction. But and you say you use chalkboard like this for NFL the same.
Mm-hmm.
Works probably for basketball.
I don't play NBA.
I don't either, a lot, but it would work for hockey. It works this way a lot for every sport we play. That's why it's such a valuable tool.
Yeah, I might play more NBA if it wasn't like coinciding exactly with NHL, and that's where all my focus is.
Yeah, as an NHL contributor, I get it, but for me, NBA is so precise these days. If you're off by just a little bit, you're in a lot of trouble. So
yeah,
that's one sport I would really, even if I knew a lot about it, I'd lean heavily on our coaches. Those guys have been really, really good.
Great, incredible coaches with Bob. I want Bob, but Josiah.
Yep. Do you hear it? Do you hear it in the background? That's your warning. Coupon code's coming again. MLB Live, 10% off.
I'll let you hear it.
We're looking at the Carnage report again now to flip flop it and go into hitters. You've already got your pitchers, that you're kind of looking for, and you realize this is kind of a icky slate on DraftKings, especially. For your hitters, you're really looking towards, you flip flop that Carnage report and go from the blues and the greens down here to the yellows and the reds, hopefully dark reds if you can find them. There aren't any tonight, and a lot of unknowns down here with San Diego, Detroit, New York, Toronto, Tampa, Chicago White Sox, whatever. They're facing some unknown numbers on the pitchers, but Minnesota looks chalky again for a reason. LA's in pretty good shape. Mets might be in good shape against Gonsolin. Look at Gonsolin giving up 231 ISO against.
When I look at this and change my eyes from looking at pitching to looking at hitting, like Texas and the Mets go.
Yep. And I mean, again, if you're building a single entry lineup and you just go 4x3 on FanDuel or 5x2 on DraftKings and just go Mets, Rangers.
Because everybody in your single entry is going to have Minnesota.
Yeah, and it is not the worst. It is not the worst way to go in terms of looking tonight. But we did that the other night, and bear in mind, I did that the other night with Cincinnati with Darth. Did Cincinnati, Milwaukee. I love that lineup so much because I was able to use like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stack, and then a 3-4 stack, and then a 1-off. And I was like, dude, this lineup is amazing. It crapped. I mean, that's what they're going to do, but the logic is there, the reasoning is there. I mean, I would rather attack a 250 ISO against than a 230 ISO against, instead of all these blue dudes that are under 120. And Noah Cameron, if St. Louis is on the slate at 0.078, are you kidding me? That's a small sample size, but dude, that's a good number. It's a good indicator. Any other power numbers I'm looking at that I would be intrigued by, and there isn't any. I mean, a 160 ISO is not special.
No.
As a team. 250 and 230 are. I mean, these ISOs against, this is telling me these dudes are giving up the long ball. That would be maybe where I would be looking. And leverage stacks wise, let's jump over there. Let's talk ownership. And you tell me what you see and where you'd be headed for tournaments.
Move this around.
Because I know you'd be stacking.
Stacking's my religion. I was like, that's backwards. Let's see. The chalk, we got Minnesota and the Dodgers mainly.
Again, bearing in mind 10-game slate, so it's not.
Yeah.
Chalk might be a relevant term, but it still speaks, like we talked about yesterday, big drop-offs.
But I really like the Mets.
Yeah.
Not super chalky. They're in that kind of middling tier. I think they're in a great spot.
Yep, and don't forget that Gonsolin ISO against 371 WOBA and 230 ISO.
And then Texas down here, they're not necessarily great leverage or anything.
Correct. Down here, 13th in leverage.
But they're unowned.
Yes. So they may not be generating as much leverage as anybody else, but if they go score 8 runs, somebody's going to win some money because of it.
Let's see where they rank on my most likely to score 8 runs today.
Oh, you got yourself a little cheat sheet of your own, huh?
Well, yeah, running all the sims who came out. The Texas 28.7 probability of scoring at least 8 runs.
28.7%?
28.7%.
And that ranks where?
4th.
There you go.
Well, second on the slate. Because the Angels and Red Sox were both a little over 30%, and I think they may have. Because that was a high-scoring game, if I remember.
I haven't looked, but I can look it up while you're.
It was 11-9.
There you go. Well, that hit the over.
Minnesota's got a 32.8% chance to go over 8 runs. Yankees 28%. Then we drop down to the Dodgers Tampa Bay. But then everybody else is in. No, Athletics 23%, Mets 20%. Texas has a 33% chance to hit at least 3 home runs. Yankees 32, Twins 30, Athletics 27%, Mets 25.
See, I like playing numbers. I like staying at the top of those types of lists. Those types of however they create them.
Yeah, 10 plus hits. The Twins have a 53.1% chance to get over 10 hits,
which is probably why they're chalk.
Followed by Texas at 50%.
How about that?
If that, I still don't understand why Texas doesn't create more leverage, but
I don't either. That was interesting. Very interesting. You'd think that they would. But. All right. Edward Gale's asking about Clark Schmidt. I don't know what you mean in terms of maybe cash games or GPPs. GPPs, I'm never going to tell somebody no, but I'm going to say I'm not a big fan. If I go back and share that Carnage report again really, really quickly, because I like to pull from that. First of all, he's not going to be very highly owned. So for cash games, I wouldn't even be worried about it. For GPPs, it's kind of getting a little middling, and his strikeout potential is not great.
No.
It's all right. ISO against, xWOB against, not terrible. Cleveland, I know, struck out a ton last night against Rodon, but these guys have different stuff. I don't see the need. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I don't see the need.
I will tell you something that pops out here that is scary, but Kate Pavich is projected at 33% chance to get at least 8 Ks.
There you go.
Now does that outweigh if he gives up runs?
Well, yeah. Strikeouts are your floor and your ceiling.
Yeah.
In MLB, that means strikeouts are really good at erasing runs. If you give up a 3-run bomb in the first and post 6 or 7 strikeouts on the day, you've repaired a lot of that damage. You've scored positive points. You're probably okay. You're not nutting the slate, but you're probably okay. Whereas somebody like Miles Michaelis gives up a 3-run bomb in the first. Well, that dude's headed for 3 points on the day because he doesn't strike anybody out to recover any of that damage. He has to be perfect to post a usable score on a slate most of the time. Whereas Pavich with the strikeout upside that you just mentioned has a lot more pathways to being a relevant pitcher tonight.
Yeah. When I look on this picture on this list, as far as from a who sucks, it's Shane Baez at the top of every list, the most likely to give up 5+ runs, most likely to give up 2 home runs. You
think the ownership would be higher in Texas?
Well, I think I know where I'm going to plant my flag when I go ahead and play.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of them in the lineup. I like it. Another thing to get back to, I believe Edward, he said for cash, said, would you recommend using DS to pick first base and second base since that all that ownership was so diluted while selecting all the other chalky guys at the other positions? I'll let you answer that one. Tell me what you think.
I'll tell you one thing I used to do is I would go through the DS, sort by ownership, uncheck everybody, and then only allow the top, 3 or 4 or 5 guys maybe, and run a lineup like that.
Let's do that.
To kind of, make sure you're getting all the chalky guys.
Edward, you want FanDuel or DraftKings? I'm going to show you how I'm going to build your lineup right now. Now, it's DFS Army, and if you've used coupon code MLB Live, don't tell my boss I'm telling you this, but we don't give out lineups. We don't typically give out picks, but we do show processes, and I'll show you the process right now. Let's see. So, Edward, you tell me FanDuel or DraftKings? DraftKings. Perfect. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to see if I can blow this up a little bit. Is that big enough, Tattoo? Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go DraftKings. And this is what Tattoo's doing. This is what he said. I'm going to go main slate. I'm going to double check that KC St. Louis game. I'm going to make sure that sucker's off. He gone, right? I don't want a single bat from that damn thing. If Tattoo wants to play Bobby Witt, that's up to him. But I'm not touching any of this stuff. I'll build 3 lineups. I don't know, maybe 5. I like to build 5 sometimes. I'm not a big fan in cash games of 8 and 9 hitters. I want to try and get something up there in the 1 through 6, 1 through 7 range if I can. 1, maybe 2 unique players. Is that about what you're doing so far, Tattoo? As well?
Yeah.
I leave it in optimal mode because I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not using any randomness because I'm going off of the projections. I'm going to narrow my player pool down so tight, so fast. I'm not stacking. If I get a stacked lineup, so be it. But I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
And now I'm unchecking every damn person. See ya. They're all gone. I'm sorting by ownership. And I'm just going to go right back through like he said, and I'm checking back. So what? Now,
I usually look where the break is,
Yep. How concerned are we with Chris Sale? Because that's a question we need to ask. He's so chalky, but
he's so chalky. I feel like we have to leave him in right now.
Okay, because he's going to pull in.
Because we leave him out, and then the weather breaks, and we're fucked.
Yeah, there's Pavich, there's Pivetta, Gibson Long, and would you go down to Clark Schmidt? I'm not using him in cash.
No, I would just take those first 4.
So those 4, whichever ones you give me is fine. Now I'm going to go catcher. I'm going to do the same thing. Look at this. Remember what we said about the breakpoint, the chalkboard tool? I'm only concluding Jeffers.
Yeah, I was like that. It's so obvious you don't need.
Look at this. Ohtani on the Dodgers. Where was that on chalkboard? It was gone. Well, that's why everybody was 8%. Interesting. Okay, so
the outfielders I usually go like 9 or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to include Ty France just because he's cheaper. These other guys should not pull in.
Break today too.
These other guys should not pull in, but I might leave a bunch of these guys in there just because. God, there's just no break point. There's no break here.
It's hard in the outfield. You just kind of gotta decide your own break point.
And there's second base. I'll probably take those top 3 guys where Stott drops off from 10% to 6%, and Jackson Holiday. I know he's leadoff. If you want to include him, include him. If you don't. I wouldn't, because he's not pulling enough ownership to really affect much. That's my opinion. Tattoo may differ. You may differ. Royce Lewis is probably the guy, especially at that price. I don't see any reason to include anybody else, but I guess I would. Jose Ramirez is a cash game player if I ever heard of one.
You kind of got to throw in Ramirez.
But he had 5,700. He won't pull in.
Yeah, you're probably, yeah.
You got your Bohm, your Riley, or whatever. These guys, Riley's been fine, weather pending. But these guys with that 3,000 up top is where I want DS to go. Now, notice I'm not doing anything with the smiley faces. I'm not doing anything with exposure mins or exposure maxes or any of that. I'm just going right through here and hoping these guys pull. Correa, Gunner, Betts. We said Lindor. It's going to be price prohibitive. Hopefully it goes Brooks Lee for me.
Yeah, because it's going to pull Ohtani in every lineup.
Yeah. Oh, and it should. I mean, in my opinion. And it hopefully puts him in the outfield and takes somebody else in there at first base. Now, you said about 9. That's about what I do too. But I'm looking for that break point. I'm coming all the way down here on that first page. I'm looking for that break point. Judge, Nemo. And I want to make sure. This is the main thing to explain. I want to make sure we get some of these $3,000 guys in here.
Sometimes if I don't have a good enough list, I'll flip it to points per dollar and maybe just take a couple that way.
If you're doing that, would you go hitters tab and then include all the hitters and then flip it?
No, I probably just outfield. Just because that's where I know I can find the cheaper value at.
Riley Green, O'Hearn. Okay, Wenzel Perez. Interesting. 3,400, 3,900 Magnum. Down. So now we're falling off in the little bitty guys. I don't want to include Palacios. If I go hitters tab, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Yandy Diaz, 3,600 in Tampa. It'll pull him if I click it.
I would definitely include Junior Caramero. He's just like on fire.
So let's do that. Now, see, and this is all I did. And what I'm down to, Edward, is 32 players. And I know this is taking a little while, but I think it's important to show you guys.
That's about where I want it. 30, 28, 30 players.
25, 35, somewhere in there for sure. And then click. And we got to do that silly thing. So I'm going to cheat. This isn't going to change projections any, but it's fast.
Yeah, I'd change about 1/10.
Yeah, I do too. I change my 0.01 or whatever. But anyway, there's my 3 or 5 lineups. Now here's all I'm doing. Now this is where I get asked a lot, and this is where I'm not building lineups for anybody. Which lineup do you pick? I don't freaking know, man. I don't care. They're all going to project about the same. You pick the one that you like. If you like 1, 2, 3,
I pick the one with the lowest ownership to be completely.
So you're watching that column right there. Because you're going to watch the projections column. They're going to all project about the same. 104.65. Next ones will be 104.64. You can't tell me there's a difference. But the ownership, 141 versus 142. This is what, 3 Twins, 2 Dodgers, Aaron Judge, Nemo. It did use Perez. But Pivetta and Long, it didn't use Chris Sale.
And I guess it used Judge instead of Ohtani.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of interesting with 2 Dodgers. Well, it did use Ohtani and Judge. It used Ohtani first. Can't argue that. It's a pretty good spot to be. Pivetta, Pavich again.
If you told me I could make a lineup with Judge and Ohtani in it, I mean.
See, okay, now here's another question too. Now I'll roll through these and I'm going to see if I don't forget this question. But Pivetta and Pavich, I'm not seeing a lot of Chris Sale. So that's fine for the weather. We can probably let that go tonight. Understanding the projections may be leading us in a different direction. But this is what, 1, 2, 3 Twins, Judge and Ohtani again. And these lineups are not going to be different more than 1 or 2 people. There's another one that used Gleyber Torres in the second base at leadoff, but it's Ohtani and Judge again. So there's probably a lot of builds that are going to have Ohtani and Judge in them if the projections and the optimizer are doing it so easily, right?
Yeah.
But any of these 5 work. You want to use Brent Rooker for whatever reason, use him, right? Addison Barger again. These guys are this is what differentiates lineups. It's very, very little. There's 139 ownership, 153, too chalky for Tattoo, 134. So if he likes to use the least ownership, that's probably the lineup he's going with. And so when you look at it, it broke up the 3 stack of Twins to a 2 stack, which might benefit a cash game. Torkelson's been great. Stott leading off. Hear that thunder outside. Addison Barger, Brooks Lee, Judge, Ohtani, both in the outfield, so it went Torkelson at first base. This lineup might be great. It might. I kind of like it. And it's projected instead of 104.65, it's projected at 104.38. So there's no significant difference between the two. And no Sale. So hopefully that answers your question, Edward. Trying to think of what the hell the question was that I had before, but I wanted to at least stay on topic for a minute before I saw the squirrel and chased off in a different direction.
Squirrel?
It was Chris Sale loaded. Damn.
Have we gotten any more updates on the weather?
And it had to do with being a little bit lower owned versus. Damn, I can't remember what it was.
Because I would say Pivetta is a third of the owner. Well, right now he is.
Damn, I guess it doesn't matter what I was going to ask.
I was wondering if I'd rather have the Atlanta game stay in question.
Yes.
To keep his ownership up and get off of him and pray it pours after the first inning.
So, hope for something like game goes off and second inning gets delayed and he sits there with 1K and 45% ownership.
Yeah.
Stitch away, Dixon. Yeah, we'd go over all this in Discord. Soto would be a good one-off play as well. Clement's been hot. These are okay if they're pulling ownership. Now, if they're pulling 2-3% ownership, cash games, they don't matter. They're great tourney plays. I need a little bit of ownership, but that's the idea. Narrow it down, like Tattoo was saying.
Name of the game.
Narrow it down. Eat some of that chalk, eat some of that ownership, and then you're going to be different somewhere by default. And yes, you can use the DS to build you those lineups, lock them all in, and then let it pick first or second base. Or you can do what we just showed you, which is uncheck everybody and only check back the top 3 to 5 highest owned players on the slate, projection wise, and then let it mix and match and build those lineups for you. And then you pick from that. Say, oh, here's 5 lineups to choose from. They're all probably super close together, and I like this one. That's how I do it. And to be honest with you, some nights all 5 of those lineups will cash. Other nights, 2 or 3 will cash and 2 won't. And I don't know why. The slight difference, it's in that little 2v2 stuff, and it really walks the line. And on those, and you can honestly, you can go a month or 2 and every night somehow pick the worst lineup of the 5. It happens. It sucks. But it's what it is. If that's the case, go down to 3 lineups and do it that way, or 1 or 2 lineups and just play the optimal and run it off of that. But understand that in cash games, what you're after is you're after the long run. You're after all season, and you want to be 55 to 60% or better winning in those contests, and that's what grinds up a bankroll in cash games. Now, that affords you the opportunity to play tournaments along the way too, and hopefully make a big score. And you might take your cash lineup and then make that pivot that Tattoo's talking about. 1 player here, 2 players. I would stack. I'd pick a team and stack, and then I'd build around that. And then, hell, let it eat. Might be your night. I don't have much else for us today. Tattoo, do you?
No, unless you want to do.
Oh, bong calls.
Yeah.
Bong calls. Why don't you run through the BVP for everybody really quick? Because guess what? We dropped down probably to 30 or people watching this show. Probably because we started talking about cash games, and everybody seems to hate cash games, even though every single professional DFS player I've ever talked to plays them at about 2/3 of his budget in his daily budget. Nobody else does. That's why nobody else is a pro. But bong calls. Let's give the super secret information to the 30 people that stuck around.
My bong call is Stephen Kwan. He is 6 for 12 off of Schmidt, so I feel comfortable taking a shot on him. The obvious is Buxton, because I put money on him yesterday and he didn't hit one.
Right.
So he will obviously hit it today. And for y'all, I won't take him. I took the L yesterday, so y'all could, run today.
That's mighty nice of you.
Soto, 4 for 6 off Gosselin, and we know that,
Quote of the day from Dixon: cash games are like showering with your clothes on. Sounds fun, but in practice, not so much. Well played, sir. You got a bunch of them, though. You're only on number 3, right?
Yeah. Jose Ramirez, 5 for 13 off of Schmidt with a homer. Another reason why we don't like Schmidt.
I'm going to hold you to that, Harlock. Harper going yard.
Buxton.
Buxton's got BVP.
Buxton didn't have the BVP, but he has my money. Kyle Manzardo, 3 for 5 with 2 home runs off of Schmidt.
That ought to be a lower owned play.
Tyrone Taylor, 3 for 6 versus Gosselin, which we mentioned earlier as a cheapie, Bryson Stott, 3 for 5 with a home run. I think that game's already played. Willie Castro, 2 for 2 with 2 home runs off of Lopez.
Get your hands off my Willie.
Yeah. Get my hands off my Willie, Castro.
Eric Church fan. He sings a song called Leave My Willie Alone. Shout out Eric Church.
I like old Eric Church. Bryce Harper is 2 for 2 with a homer.
There we go. Good call, Harlock. Cash and smashing, Dixon.
You mean you got paid your check on the first and you cashed it on the second? That was a poor man's joke.
Poor man's joke for a man drinking poor man's whiskey.
Yeah. Well, I need to really do a good restock. Yesterday, I went and got a handle of Southern Comfort and Sailor Jerry.
Yeah, I saw the post.
So need to get some Maker's Mark, some what do I gotta get for Sniper Woodcroft? Woodford
Reserve. Yeah, some of those people like to drink the big stuff, Knob Creek and Woodford, and get on up the list and get all up into the Blantons and all that kind of stuff.
I like some cognac myself.
Man, that's a whole different breed, man. Shit. You served something to me in a snifter, and we just went to a different world. Yeah, Tattoo struck me as an Everclear kind of guy too. There's another one for you. Now, you guys may or may not be into funny lyrics to songs. I love me some sarcastic lyrics. And there's a Roger Krieger song, I believe, called the Everclear song. And I encourage you to look it up, because in there he's talking about grandma's doing backflips and grandpa's looking up their skirts. And it is funny shit.
Dixon, where are you at?
Because, where you live, Dixon?
Apple cider I love is Bold Rock. But I know it's kind of an East Coast thing. So
yeah,
I like Red's apple too, but
we do Reds and we do Woodchuck down here.
We used to drink Everclear.
Angry Orchard, of course.
New Jersey does not even surprise me. But yeah, we get a cooler and fill it up with Everclear and fruit punch and fruit or whatever.
Yep. And a ladle.
And they banned Everclear, but I got a moonshine connection, so I don't need Everclear.
I got moonshine in my freezer right now.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're from the sticks, man, you always, there's a few things you can find.
I have a yard full of blackberries, grapes, growing apples and figs, and I have no problem setting up a still in my yard.
That's right. And see, I'm from Missouri. That's the meth capital of the world, so I could probably grow some or cook some meth while you're firing up the moonshine. We make the neighborhood rich until it blows up.
Yeah.
And on top, I mean, because I'd have to send my kid to freaking Walmart to get Sudafed. But the moonshine in the fridge, and then taped to the other side of the fridge, taped to the other side of the fridge is a roll of duct tape. That's the Hoosier toolbox right there. Is WD-40 and duct tape.
I have a bottle, a jug, whatever we're going to call it, of moonshine that I shoved strawberries and bananas in there. And I think it's been in my fridge for like 15 years.
Oh, yeah. It still don't have any bacteria in it. It's good.
If the Oilers win, I'll take a strawberry out and eat it.
So we will not see you tomorrow.
I meant the whole thing. They got to lift the cup for me to commit.
My brother-in-law started an experiment. Now, this guy's not the guy you would think would do this, but I mean, I guess the country doesn't get very far out of any of us down here. He started messing with vodka infused fruits, and he started putting, strawberries in a jar of vodka and cherries and maraschino cherries. Those were tough. And his only thing was he leaves it for about 2 weeks, and like the orange was good, blueberry was good, and he said just the cherry is good, the vodka's good. He goes, but don't eat the cherry. Screw you, man. Now I got to eat the cherry. I'm like, don't mess with me. It's like going to be like taking a Jello shot from hell. I was like, let's do this thing.
I'm going to show you something while you talk.
The whole time he's waving me off, and I got to tell you, man, I had one bite of that cherry, and I swear my BAC was a 0.2. That stuff, man, it didn't taste like a cherry. It was already decomposing and then getting eaten up by all the vodka. It was hilarious. I was like, yeah, I get it. Don't eat the cherry. So we don't eat the fruit in those jars that much anymore. But I'm like, that's wasted good vodka because it's all tied up in that fruit. There you go.
Strawberry wine I made.
Yes, you pop the cherry, not eat the cherry. I agree. I mean, it goes in your mouth either way. So he says, when they lift the cup, you lift the jug.
Indeed.
And a video of that would be absolutely great. And I'll tell you what, if you go pop the cherry and it tastes like vodka, you got the wrong girl. But,
I believe so. I believe she is sour. So.
But that just means she does stuff. So whatever. To each their own.
Russian.
Let's we're fully off the rails. Let's call it here, move on, build some lineups, submit some lineups so you can get there watching your hockey game. Everybody else, same thing. I enjoy the banter back and forth. It's always fun.
Pray for my Oilers tonight if y'all love me.
I do not believe that I'm going to be here Friday.
Okay.
Because we got to go out of town. Like I said, I got to go be a boat captain for a bachelorette party, which is the weirdest thing I thought I'd ever say. And that's talking about popping vodka infused cherries. And that was still the weirdest thing I thought I'd ever say. Yeah. But, so according to local weather, Metro Atlanta, it sounds like the rain is moving slow. Not sure what that ultimately means. Late start would be good for sale.
Yeah, I prefer a delay.
Yeah, if we're gonna fade him off.
We're gonna fade him. So.
But yeah, do that with what you will, guys. Follow Joey, and of course, follow DFS Army out on Twitter, on YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And for me and Tattoo and DFSArmy.com, I guess we'll see y'all Friday. Thoughts on Abel on FanDuel, real quick. Do you got any?
Yeah, I like him. I don't just my brain isn't there right now, so I can't remember.
You've already shifted to hockey.
I've shifted. Like
Moonshine knocked you off.
He made my sheet. He was on my sheet.
Did you ride him today for FanDuel?
DK.
I'll tell you what, to Prince, go read the notes on it real quick. That'll get you Tattoo's thoughts so that he can, because he's already checked out. All right, let's end it here. Let's come back on Friday and let's have a good show. Helmets up, hit those leaderboards, and
let's go, Dixon.
Tear it up, everybody. That's right.